Hi, I'm Rosemary Kuhlman. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and domestic violence, and I'm here to tell my story. Everything that happens is a past, and it hit me that I really hadn't ever thought of it that way. But my past, all through my life, up to the age of 47, was a person who lived in abuse. Starting with my home life as a child. My father was physically, emotionally, verbally, and sexually abusive to, I have 4 siblings, and my mother. He was abusive to all of us. And as a child, especially back then, especially back in the time when I was young, back then, family violence, domestic violence was a family affair. It was a family deal. You didn't talk about it. There was certainly very few places you could call to get help. Certainly wasn't the internet. You couldn't go to the internet and find a safe place that pops up and then says over to the side these little bitty letters that says, hit this button very quickly if you feel someone is approaching that doesn't see what you're looking at. Back then there was nobody. There was not even a relative. My sister tried to tell my uncle when she was about 9 years old. My uncle was taking her back to school for something, and she tried to tell him, and he was driving the car, and she said he kept looking straight ahead. He wouldn't look at me, and she said he never, ever spoke to me again. So when you're a child and the very person or persons that is supposed to love you and protect you, what if that person is the very one that's hurting you? Where do you turn? So back then, you know, my siblings and I barely talked about it amongst ourselves because we were afraid our father would hear us talking about it. We certainly didn't talk to anybody, our friends. We were scared to tell them because if he found out that we told them, you know, I mean, the repercussions were not very, very pretty. So I really didn't know there was anything abnormal about my life until when I was 6 years old, our house burned to the ground. And I had to live with another family for about 3 months, I think. And this family was astounding. They were loving. Nobody ever screamed. And that was my first inkling that my life was not normal. But then after that period, I went back to my family and back to the abuse, and I pretty much repressed it and just forgot about that other family. Abuse is screaming, slapping, kicking, calling names, taking your car keys away from you, locking you in a closet, shoving you up against the wall, making fun of you in public. There are so many different abuses and they're all just as bad to me. It's almost worse to me to be verbally and emotionally abused than physically abused because the emotional and verbal abuse gets to your soul. It hurts your spirit. My plan now, I know, is so that I can talk to people who might either are being abused or know someone's abused. I'm the person that I wish I had heard speak when I was a small child.
How did you move forward? How did you trust? How did you had the love in your heart, I'm sure, because you seem like a really good person. So how did you move forward?
It's because of 2 people, 2 entities, Him and God. There's no question. I mean, a lot of prayer and a lot of putting my faith in Him and God. I don't know of any other. I don't know that I could have done it without those 2 guys. You can do it. You can get away. I remember most of my life thinking, I'll never get away from this. I will never, ever have the courage to leave this. I want to just go out and talk to everybody because of the awareness is so vast now and so out there. I just want to eradicate all of it. My husband says you can't save the world, and nobody can, but a lot of people together can, or maybe come as close as possible. And it's just a wonderful thing to think that you can keep someone from, I guess, going through life from one abusive relationship to another. Stop the cycle, break the cycle. Talking to teenagers, that's where the cycle breaks because